everyone, it's Teresa and today is Try It Tuesday, which is of course hosted by the one and only Sammy, Unicorn Dust Designs, and our first project is by that one and only unicorn. We're going to be making some of these woodblock pumpkins. Now I've got two pieces of 2x4 already cut. I just kind of cut them however they looked like I wanted to cut them. I'm taking the Nantucket blue and doing this one. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually using some water. I just did like one dip of my paintbrush into the paint, and then I'm spritzing some water on it to really thin it out. I'm going to give it a lot more of a very rustic, worn down look. So this kind of worked out perfect so that I didn't have to use a ton of paint. And then I'm going to heat that, not heat it, but you know what I mean, dry it up with my heat gun. And I was kind of hoping for a little bit of a chippy, crackly, but it didn't happen. It's right though. I sanded it down with my orbital sander really nicely, just so I could see a lot of that wood grain. And I've got some crockery stamps that I got from IOD. Now I will list the actual store that I got them from. She's super sweet. She's in St. Augustine, Florida, and I got them really fast. So I'm going to list that down for you below. It is My Victorian Heart, just in case you're curious. But I just did that stamp real easy with the black ink, also from IOD. And I am going to take the spindle, I cut it down using my brand new miter saw, and I did a quick like sanding of it too, just to give it an even more like chippy look. And I kind of cut it at a slant. It was not on purpose, but I put it on there and I was like, you know what, it works out because the stem is, you know, it's a pumpkin stem. It's not going to be straight. And I was like, this is definitely a guy. I've decided this pumpkin is a guy and his stem isn't straight. Sorry guys, I can't help myself sometimes. It's late. I'm doing just a quick brushing of some antique wax on him because he needed a little something extra. Definitely needed it on the top of that spindle that I cut down. And I'm going to do it, you know, all over the place because when in doubt, wax it out. I have a subscriber that told me that one day and I can't help it. I just love it. Now I am going to add a little bit more detail to this guy in a little bit. As we get into the second DIY, you'll find out in a minute why I don't do it yet. So I'm just going to take some of this ribbon. It's just a lace ribbon from Dollar Tree. I thought about doing the raffia. I tried it. It did not like me today. Sometimes your craft stuff has a mind of its own. Now I've got this other one. It's a little bit smaller. This one is in the Waverly chalk paint in Plaster. Did it pretty much in the same way that I used the Nantucket blue. And now this one I am going to go ahead and Mod Podge on some paper, and I put it on the wrong side of it. But like right now, the top that you're looking at is supposed to be the bottom, so it's a little off, but that's okay. We're gonna fix it. I'll show you in a minute. See, I put it down and I was like, oh, here we go. We'll just line it all up. And I did it and I was like, that didn't end up working out the way I wanted it to, but it's all right. So I put down a good coat of Mod Podge, and I mean like you need like a good amount of it because this stuff is a very thick paper. I do get it eventually, and I'm just going to trim it all off since I put it kind of on like the wrong side. I don't even know. I wanted that paper edge to be much closer on the side that was supposed to be my top instead. That way when I cut it down, I didn't end up with like a lot of weird markings, but that's okay. I am going to do it again. I'm going to add my antique wax, and I'm going to do it all over this one because I really want all of that detail to come out. And I love the way it turned out because it gave a lot of that antique wax, but then you could still see a lot of the shine from this paper. It's a lot of shine. And then here I am drilling down a hole and I mess up. I thought I had it centered so you could actually see, but I ended up messing up and didn't put my hole far enough over to one side. It's the way it works, right? So here I am trying to fix it. And I end up saying, well, you know what? This guy has two sides, so we're going to just do it on the other side. Luckily enough, I didn't mess it up on this side. So I just drilled down into the block of wood. Try to make sure you're going straight down or you'll end up at a slant like I did. And I have this little knob that I got from, I want to say Hobby Lobby on clearance. And I thought that that would make a really cute, like different, you know, a different stump. Pumpkin stem. I don't know why. I was trying to tell somebody about something earlier about a pumpkin stem and I couldn't for the life of me remember the word. So I end up working my way into getting the right size and I finally got it, but I wanted to add a little bit more antique wax because it didn't have enough. The other side had enough. So I just pushed that back down on into my little pumpkin, and there they are all finished up. I'll show you in a minute how I end up getting that darker look. So my name is Theresa, if we haven't met. I, of course, am participating today in Try It Tuesday, and of course it's hosted by Sammy. It's every month she hosts this awesome challenge, and there will be a playlist down for you below. And what I would also love it if you would consider subscribing, come and hang out with me. I post at least once a week. I also have a new channel called Home and Hauls with Theresa B. I'll have that listed for you below, as well as in the little iCards, and we're going to get into the next one. Now this one is more of a technique. It is from Crested Perch. She has a store, she has an Instagram, and she has a very small YouTube channel, and I hope that changes after this. So I've got this little milk crate kind of thing. It is from, trying to remember if it's Hobby Lobby or if it's Michael's. It might have been Michael's when they did like their big like summer clearance or something. Anyways, I think it was like originally $15. I got it at least 70% off because I don't pay full price if I can avoid it. I do a pretty decent coat of the antique wax around the inside of the rim and on the outside, but I'll be honest, I could have skipped it because I'm going to do something completely different with it. All right, so I've got some, oh, if you didn't figure that out, I'll tell you what it is later. We're building up to it, everyone. All right, I've got some air dry clay. I got it off of Amazon. I'll list it for you linked below if you're interested in it. I don't know how great it is, like longevity of the container, because I just opened it and I roll it all out, and I had to roll it out again because I messed it up. But I'm actually just using, this is like from a roll of contact paper. It's not really a technical tool, but it worked out. So I'm going to take my crockery stamp, and this time I'm going to put a little bit of cornstarch on it because it needed something to keep it from sticking. And then I'm just going to roll it over everything with my little makeshift rolling pin, and I'm then going to take the, it's like the sharp end of this little tool. It's in the Crafter Square section at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to line it all around. That way I can pull off all of my clay. Be careful if you do this because it's got a sharp end, and that's the end I was using, and I have it like right on top of my, you know, silicone mat, and I was like, you know what, the very first time I got like the last one I had, I put a little hole through it. So be careful not to do that. But eventually I do end up getting it, and I should have put some cornstarch down. It's all right though. I ended up peeling it up just fine. Now I am going to lay it on my little milk crate thing just to give it its shape. I did fix it. It was a little wonky. What I should have done here, I should have actually glued it down already, like while it was drying. But it's all right. It ends up working out fine. So I'm going to take the Nantucket Blue and I'm going to do a full coat of this. And I liked the pointy end brush. I'm sure it has a real name. I don't know what it is. But I liked using that particular brush just to kind of get into all of the little crevices. And that's really what you want to make sure you do. I let it dry completely. Oh, by the way, I did let this air dry clay go all the way overnight to get really dry. Now comes the fun part. We are going to mix a tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide, and I want to say it ends up being a half a teaspoon of salt and an 1/8 of a cup of vinegar. I had to think there. I'll leave all that below. And you get that all nice and mixed up. There I am with my mask protection for the next part. So this is basically the part that I got from my video that I watched from Crested Perch, where she uses this iron powder. I'll have it linked for you below. Does like the smallest little bit of it, and that's why she said to make sure you wear like a mask. I probably did like super overkill, and you probably could have just worn like a regular mask that we all have, many of them, but then I like had the gloves and a couple of extra bags. Basically, if you breathe in the iron powder, it's not good for you. But she said once it's in the liquid, you're safe because it's got the, you know, all of the stuff isn't in the air. And I did it outside because I wanted to be like super safe. Now that it's all mixed in there together, I'm back inside with my air dried clay, you know, little mold, makeshift mold. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little foam brush, and I am going to kind of like go in and dab it. I'm just checking to see like, do I have this stuff on the brush? Because obviously you can't really tell. It's a black brush and the iron in the cup is dark. So anyways, what you're going to do is you're going to take it, and what I found to be the easiest way is angle your cup so you end up with most of the liquid on one side, and then start patting your foam brush into like the you know, the powder, not the powder, it's not powder at this point, but the sediment at the bottom of the cup is what you're trying to get. So as you can see here, it is, I zoomed in for you because now we're taking this little spray bottle and we're actually going to spray it. I cannot remember if I told you how to make this. I'll leave it listed below. This is a little bit different. This is where we've got basically all that same stuff that we did in the beginning, and it's just in a spray bottle. Sorry, I hit it. I hit the camera with my head. Anyways, this one has got the peroxide in it, whereas before it did not. I'll leave all the measurements for you below, and of course the original video link. And when you spray it, it's actually like activating that iron, because the peroxide is what is going to give you the iron. It's going to actually like rust it. And then I had a bunch on my tray, and I was like, I am going to rust everything. So I added some to my pumpkin, and it gave it such a nice, like, warm tone. This is going to probably be like my new favorite thing to do, especially on, you know, trying to give that like aged effect to wood. So I hope you like it, because you're probably going to see it a lot more often now. I ended up throwing some of it on this little container because it wasn't quite, it looked too new. You know, like I just made this gorgeous little label, you know, to put on it, and then I have this thing that's almost dark white. It wasn't going to work for me. Now, I will say on that little label, what I accidentally did, well, not really accidentally, I did it on purpose, but it didn't turn out exactly the way I expected. I ended up adding some polyacrylic to seal it, and it got kind of gooky. I don't know if it got that way because it's an older container, it's been outside, it's been just all kinds of things. Or if it's just because it was getting like, it settled into the, you know, the little nooks and crannies. It ended up being okay because it gave it a totally another like element of old. Anyways, so as you can tell right here, I've sprayed on the little thing that activated the rust, and then I started wiping some of it off because I thought like, I don't really like it, it doesn't look right. And so then I was like, oh no, I like this, I'm gonna just rub off some of it. So it still gives it that aged look. It's not quite like super stark brand new, so I was going for it. Then once that is all done, I'm going to go ahead and just get some glue, and we're going to glue it on. I do, of course, add some of this more like super glue kind of thing. I can't remember. It's something like that. I'll leave it listed for you below. And then I am just going to add some florals for the season, and it's done. On to our last one. There's kind of like a twofer in here, and these are very loosely interpreted ones. So this is from my friend Jamie over at What's Jamie Makin. And what we're going to do here is first I'm going to stain this little block of wood. I've already sanded it down. I'm going to mix two of these. These are the wood tints from Folk Art. One is in the color gray and one is in the color walnut. I imagine you can figure out which one's which. I mix them all together, and then I'm going to just kind of do a little shake. And it's not quite the right color. I'm like, no, it's still a little too gray. So I add a little bit more of the walnut, and I'll stir it up, and then it ends up being like the most perfect color. It's like the walnut color that I love, but not so dark. It's perfect. I love it. I mean, I was like, man, I should mix this all together and make like one happy color. Anyways, painting it all on with a brush. What's great about this stuff is because it's water-based, it dries like super, super fast. I'm going to take some of my wax from Chalk Couture. It's a surface wax. When in doubt, wax it out. I'm going to just put that on there, and basically what that does is that is going to help kind of seal everything in, keep your transfer from picking up all that wood grain and all that, and also make sure that you're going to end up putting down your chalk paste much smoother. I am taking the color Colonial Blue, and I am just going to smooth it all over the place, and it's going to give us this really pretty look to it. This is the Country Plaid transfer, by the way. Is an 18 by 18. This sucker's huge, but we're not done yet. Next, because it wasn't quite French country enough for me, I needed to go ahead and get one of my little mini French country transfers. By the way, they're perfect if you loved the crockery stamps. It gives you something like a little extra. Speaking of extra, Deborah, you are the winner from that giveaway we did back with the last time I did a big Chalk Couture video. Make sure you reach out to me. You've got 48 hours. And yeah, reach out to me. All my info's down below. I wanted the little wreath that was kind of part of my like, hey, it's a wreath. It's still got the wreath. It's still on the, you know, that was from my like my inspiration from Jamie. And what I did here is I just covered it all up in painter's tape because I wanted the wreath, but I didn't want the little part in the middle. And what I'll do is I'll smooth all that down. I kind of made sure it was mostly in the middle. And now I am going to get some more chalk paste, but a different color. I am going with color Camel, and I'm just going to use my little multi-tool with like the tiniest little amount, and I needed even less than this, to be honest. I'm just going to smooth it all around. Don't mind my sunglasses head in your screenshot there. Don't mind it. Anyways, I'm going to smooth it all around, and then I'll just take off any excess that is there. I'll peel my transfer back. And there you go. See? It works out just so nicely. After I get all that cleaned up, I end up drilling my hole pretty much the same way I did on the other pumpkin. I put down this little teeny tiny spindle. It's actually, I've got like a million of these little spindles off of like a couple of antique things that I got a while back. And then I was like, you know what, it definitely needs something else. I had actually colored or dyed some Sola Flowers, same method. I apparently left all of that footage out. I have it, when I left it out. And it's all right though. I'm gonna leave Jamie's channel linked for you below in the video where she actually shows like a really nicely done like way of showing you how to do it, measurements and all of that. Originally, I was actually going to do this little white flower with it. I ended up switching it around for a blue, and I even did the rusting technique over it because it was a little too bright. Once I did that, it's like perfect. It goes with everything so wonderfully. I'm going to show you real quick all of the projects that we did today in case you've forgotten. And I want to say a big thank you. I am so glad you came, checked out my video, and I hope you'll consider subscribing if you're new here or came over from the playlist. I appreciate absolutely everyone. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.